All right, 93, 93, 93. This is the man Asha Renew from AshaRenew.com. We're going to try this for the third time. This is a whole different phone. So if we get the same results now, I know that it don't have nothing to do with the phone. This is a completely different phone. So if we have any issues now, not just know like, all right, it's just forces working. It's just adverse forces working. It is what it is. Again, I'm still going to make it happen. But hopefully we can actually get through this without glitches this time, because it's a whole nother device. So if I just have to use this device, this is just an older phone. So if I have to use this device to live stream, then it is what it is. I'm perfectly fine with that. Because again, my main drivers is YouTube just destroys itself for whatever reason. I have plenty of space on the phone. There's nothing to do with the space. There's nothing wrong with the app. Everything is just fine until I live stream. As soon as I live stream, it glitches. Right? I can watch all the videos I want, spend as much time as I want, right? As soon as I hit that live stream button, now everything wants to glitch. But everything else is fine. So it is what it is. But again, I'm just really trying to get this out. I guess motherfuckers just don't want this out, right? I'm really just trying to make sense here. So what I've been trying to convey for the past two videos is nature is artificial. Nature is not natural. What we consider natural is not natural. Trees, rocks, grass, yes, these things grow out of the earth, but the earth itself is not natural in terms of what we would consider natural or organic, because this is an experiment. This is why elementals are our ancestors, because they represent the true reality, the metaphor, or going beyond the metaphor. See, most people stay in the artificial world. Most people are just fine with being in the artificial world, just meditating under trees, reconnecting with animals, so on and so forth. Most people are just fine with that. Most people are fine with the artificial world, or the matrix, as we call it. That's why we call it a matrix. It's because it's artificial. It's not natural. This is not a natural occurring phenomenon. We exist within an experiment. And because we exist within an experiment, we have to operate like scientists. If we are not operating like scientists, and we begin to take the metaphor literally, which is what most of us do, we take the metaphor literally. That's how people get lost. People don't get lost because they walk down the wrong path. For example, like, okay, they start messing with demons or something, then their whole life got fucked up. That's not necessarily what describes a lost person. A lost person is just someone who truly does not know nature beyond the veil, aka the elemental world, or the world of elementals. The average person knows nothing about true nature or the elemental worlds because they're not supposed to know. This is something that's supposed to remain hidden. So we're supposed to think we're doing something once again because we're traveling around the world, we're seeing nature, we've been amongst people, so on and so forth, and we're doing natural things when it's the furthest thing from the truth. We are on the lowest form of reality. We are on the material plane. So if we go in accordance with the Kabbalah, there's three other worlds that are on top of this physical or material world. Right? So if this is the level of earth, you got fire, you got water, and you got wind before the earth even manifests. So what about those three worlds that exist before the material realm even came into existence? That's more so what I'm speaking about. I'm talking about the worlds above the material plane. If the material plane is Asia, I'm talking about Atziluth, Bira, and Yetzirah, fire, water, and air. The worlds of the elementals, as we call the spirit world or the spirit plane. This is where you find true nature and things that are naturally occurring events. We're not going to find it strictly dealing with the material plane. So they try to trick us into believing that we're doing something again because we may have found out about meditation, or we feel like we're doing natural things. It is a trick, because you can meditate under a tree all day. That doesn't mean you're going to reach enlightenment like the Buddha did. The Buddha meditated under the tree, but that don't mean we're going to be able to meditate under the tree. Then we just all of a sudden gain the same type of enlightenment, because it is a metaphor. All of these stories are metaphors. And if we take these things literally, this is what makes us lost. This is how we start praying essentially to men and women. Now we're praying to the Christ. Now we're praying to the Buddha. Now we're praying to all these actual characters. What's up, Mr. Mission Control? I think that's what your name is. I could be wrong. So what I'm saying here is, we miss the point because of the distractions. Or we are natural beings, so we're here to have a natural experience. Well, the most natural experience you can have is going into the worlds of the elemental, the spiritual worlds that are above the material plane. So you can say, yes, all elements are spiritual. It's not that the earth element is any less spiritual than the previous elements, but the previous elements are more subtle and more hidden. The earth element is just the most obvious. You can actually measure the earth. Like you can go up to a tree and measure a tree. But try measuring fire, try measuring water, try measuring air. So you see that measurement loses itself when you are dealing with the previous elements. You cannot measure these elements, because you could say they are manifestations of the spirit world directly. And this is where we find what we call the elementals. We find the elementals in the spirit world, going beyond the metaphor of the material plane. So that's why it's not about what we do here on the material plane or the material world. It's about what can you accomplish in the spirit world. The spirit world just represents the world of the elementals above the material plane, or above Asia, because above Asia, you have the astral plane. Right? You have the astral plane. So because you have the astral plane, and we understand astral dynamics, meaning everything that happens in the astrals, well, not necessarily everything that happens in the astrals, but everything in the material plane has an astral counterpart. That's essentially the point that I'm making here. Everything material or physical has an astral counterpart. So that means there's an astral tree for every material tree. Every tree you see out here has an astral or a phantom or a shadow in the spirit world or the astral plane. That's more so what we're trying to get to. Because what we see here on the material plane is a projection of what's actually real. It's not the tree that's real, because the tree is a projection of something that is real. So this is what we are seeking to understand here. The tree is a projection, just like atoms. We don't see atoms. All we see is a projection of atoms. Everything is made of atoms, but you don't see them with your physical eye or your naked eye, but we know atoms compose everything. Exactly. Holograms. We are all holograms. So it don't matter what you do here materialistically. Everything is holographic. We live in a holographic universe. There's a whole book that was written about that, the holographic universe, which explains all this. All of this is holographic, because that's what we mean by material, right? See, we don't really put it in those terms, but that's the truth. So whenever we say material or whenever we say physical, what we're really talking about is a hologram or something that is holographic. So the material world is a holographic world, because it is a projection of something else. So that something else represents the source, which we call atoms. The atom is the source of the projection. So if we get fixated on the projection and we forget about the atom that is doing the projecting, then you see we are missing the true intelligence or the source of what we're actually trying to connect with. Meaning we're not trying to connect with holograms and projections of things. We're trying to go to the source of things. Because when you go to the source of things, you are able to communicate with the actual intelligence of that thing. Because that is a living intelligence. The living intelligence is not the projection, it's the actual atom. That's why you say, yeah, we have bodies or physical bodies, but we know we are not the physical body. This is the perfect example. Yes, like we have a body, but eventually the body will dissolve. Eventually we will die, but a part of us lives on. The part of us that lives on is those higher chambers that cannot be measured. You can say the real you, not the projection you, not the hologram. This is all a hologram, and it's a temporary bodysuit. So the hologram is a projection of who you really are or what you really are. And that, again, that takes us into the world of the spirit, which is where we actually exist. And that's where nature actually exists. And that's where the ancestors actually exist. Going beyond the hologram. So that's why it's never for us to get too caught up into the hologram and lose track that we are actually trying to connect with the source of the hologram. So everything is metaphorical. So that's why I say we're just dissolving the spells that have been placed on our minds, because we really think that we're actually spiritual because of what we do or what we eat. Like none of this has anything to do with spirit. Especially, again, if we're speaking metaphorically from a hologram. Spirit doesn't care what you eat or what you don't eat. Your diet should be based on your zodiac sign. That's the whole science of medical astrology. It was never about, well, this is a healthy diet and this is an unhealthy diet. That never mattered. Especially, again, when you are considering astrology. That's why there's a whole school of astrology dedicated to this. So your diet should be more so in reflection of your zodiac than I'm just going to eat healthy because, I want to live longer and I want to be more natural based. That's what the average person says. So the average person is doing those things, but you see, that don't have nothing to do with your zodiac sign. That has everything to do with the hologram. You're trying to preserve your hologram, but you're not digging into the source of the hologram, because the source of the hologram takes you to, okay, this is what you actually should be eating for you, not for no one else, for you and your particular zodiac. This is what helps you to activate your energies, your spiritual currency. That's why your diet should reflect the type of energy you're trying to project outward. But you as a projector, you understand that you have to emit this energy from a source that is non-physical, a non-physical source. That's essentially what astrology is. That's what the zodiac is. It's a non-physical source. It's not something you can go up and touch. You can't touch a constellation. But you can communicate with the intelligence. And because you can communicate with the intelligence represents the reality of the projection. So again, all I'm saying is just go beyond the projection. Fuck being natural. Fuck, you're trying to be healthy and organic and all that. We're moving beyond that. That was never the point. Because if you never get to the spirit world, you never get into if you never go beyond Asia, what are you doing? What are you doing? If the goal is to activate all worlds, all four worlds, then this is the lowest form, and this is just a world of measurement. Once you go beyond measurement, then you get into the reality. beyond the hologram. So this is essentially what I've been trying to say for 3 videos. But you see, once I change the device, everything is good. So far, so good. So moving forward, I will make sure that I live stream on this device because you see, we're not having any issues. So as I said, thank you for working with me. Thank you for being patient. Because you see, now we figured it out and we shouldn't be glitching anymore. So I apologize for the previous videos with all the glitches and all that. And again, I see it was just my device. All right, so I had to just use a different device. So again, I salute everybody. And I'll be right back at y'all, for a whole different video, a whole different topic. I'm actually relieved. You said we actually made it through the video, so I'm actually relieved. I thought it was going to be more glitching, but we actually went through it. All right. So salute to everybody watching. Again, I'll be back with y'all soon, way sooner than you think. 93, 93, 93.